Attack of the Parasite shirts and hoodies are still available for a limited time. They are gone March 18th, so make sure you grab yours, link in bio. Greetings, hello everybody. David here from the Dunder Mifflin Paper Company to present to you a casual, unscripted review on my new pet, the 1/18th scale Beasts of the Mesozoic Tyrannosaurus Rex. And no, I'm not changing my review format, I just had to do it this way because this guy just doesn't fit in my recording area. If you told me back in like 2015, 2016 when I first got into this hobby and onto YouTube that we would be getting a highly articulated 1/18th scale T-Rex and I would be willing to pay for it because I'm nuts, then I would call you crazy. I was very excited for this one, and I was also very vocal in my concerns to David Silva during the production process about not including a display rod for this figure for its immense size. I mean, just look at it on the camera next to me, and that's one reason I wanted to do a face-to-face thing for this review, because the size is immense, and it weighs so much as well. My arms are going to get tired. I'm going to have to set them down next to me here for a little while. I'm already feeling the awkwardness setting in because this is the least I've planned for a video in a long time. I just have my notes on my phone here that I'm going by. So the title might worry you for this one, depending on what title I go for with this video. But I want to assure you, I am extremely happy with this. I am extremely happy that I purchased it, but we're going to get into that video title later in the video, so don't worry about it. But let's jump on into this thing, and I'm just going to remove it from its base here quickly, so we can just look at the sculpt, and I'm going to put B-roll footage in the background, so you guys can enjoy it closer up. But detail-wise, this sculpt is immaculate. The scalation is incredible across the entire thing. The head is one of my favorite parts in general on this one. It's just like a perfect T-Rex head. Just seeing it at this scale is honestly incredible. The facial scalation is amazing. I love the piercing eyes on this sculpt as well. And I love the keratin. The style of the jagged keratin going down the snout and over the eyes is awesome. And that done in the lighter color to bring attention to it is really nice as well. One of my favorite parts of the sculpt, however, that I really actually truly appreciated once I got this one in hand is the grotesque, almost vulture-like detailing on the underside of the throat here. The crazy wrinkles and like the little dewlap it has going on is really cool looking and really natural looking in my opinion. I love the way the wrinkles are done on the back of the neck as well, going down that neck sleeve part, especially on the back of the skull. Once again, I would describe it as very vulture-like. It's kind of grotesque looking, but it's really naturalistic, and I love that he leaned into that style for this one. The interior of the mouth has immaculate detail as well, with especially the roof of the mouth is something I haven't looked at until now, actually. We're getting a live reaction, and it looks immaculate. The detail in there is incredible, and the glossy finish just really seals the deal on the inside of that as well. I love it. The rest of the body just has really incredible scalation work done. The arms and the hands are done really well. I love how sharp the claws are across the entire thing. Except the feet. The feet have dulled claws just a little bit. One of my other favorite parts detail-wise are the top of the feet. The bird-like scoots and scales running down each of the toes and up the bottom part of the leg there is really cool looking, and I love the darker brown color used to bring attention to that. It looks really, really awesome. And that's most I can say really about the sculpt and everything on this one. Sculpt-wise, it's amazing. Coloration-wise, though, it's so much more saturated in person than I was expecting. It's so red, and I love it. It stands out so much more on the shelf just color-wise than I was initially anticipating. Now, this one's based on an earless monitor, but if you look at an earless monitor in real life, you won't see any with quite this many patterns or quite this saturated, but that's what I love about BOTM is he has like a base concept that he goes off of, but he really leans into his own style for it. So you can kind of see the inspiration sneaking through in a couple areas with this one, but I really like that it's kind of its own thing color-wise. And one of my favorite parts of the coloration, which some people I know don't like personally, but I absolutely love it, is the really just bright blue, kind of like turquoisey eyes that he has against this very warm color scheme. The eyes just really pierce the color scheme in a good way, in my opinion. Yeah, like, yeah, just look at that in the camera there. And also the binocular vision from the front view here is really on point. If it'll focus on it, there we go. You can see it right there. It's like this weird combo of creepy but also silly at the same time. It's uncanny. It's entered an uncanny realm of just that is unsettling. I think that's the term to put it. And I think that's really cool. Like, imagine this thing staring at you as it's running you down with its mouth agape. Yeah, there is a bit of a paint blemish on the lip on mine there, but maybe I'll fix that up at some point, but it doesn't bother me too much right now. Now, articulation with this one. I'm going to do a full articulation demo in the background, close up on all of the joints so you can see the full range of everything, because I know that's something that a lot of people are curious about with this one. But unfortunately, there is not as much mobility with the head as I would have liked on this one. Particularly with the up and down for me. The side to side is definitely doable. I feel like there could have been some adjustment to this neck piece to make it a little bit more flexible, or just shaving it down a bit at the back of the head here to make it a little more articulated. I'm not sure. I honestly think that for this big Rex and for the small Rex as well, which I have the walking with Rex right there. If you can see me pointing to it on my shelf. Yeah, right there. I might do another video on that one at some point. I feel like these two in particular, out of all of the ones I've seen with the neck sleeves, look the most awkward with the pieces, particularly the small one, which I'll get to that if I ever review that one, like I said. I feel like the big one pulls off the neck piece really well, and it looks borderline seamless from most angles, and from a distance especially, you can't even tell there's articulation in the neck, in my opinion, when it's on top of my bookshelf up there. But I do just feel like the neck piece really inhibits the articulation, and there could have been something else done with an actual joint in the neck to give more range of motion to this particular area. But anyway, moving down, the arms have 3 points of articulation each. They work extremely well. The midsection has articulation as well. It's got some up and down and a little bit of twist to it. The legs, depending on which legs you have on, I have the static legs on right now, and we'll get to that later on in the video. But the hips really struggle with articulation. You cannot pull the legs back on this one, like, at all. And that's probably due to the sheer size of this. They probably put that limitation into effect, so it wouldn't start sagging in any particular direction over time. So it kind of locks into several different positions here. It's too bad you can't pull the leg back more, because it would be cool to get it into like a walking pose or something, but you know, that's what we have to work with. Unfortunately, this is just, there's no way you could have done this better with the style of figure you're working with here, but when you pull the leg forward, there's a really obvious gap right here. So I have mine displayed from this side, just so it looks a bit more filled out. The tail on this one has 3 separate segments that all move individually. I'm not going to move the base around too much because the tail might pop off, because I had a bit of trouble getting it on with the sheer size of it. You really have to squeeze it on after you heat it up. But the base section and the middle section are all solid plastic and move around on ball joints. The end section, however, is a wire. So just like the old Raptors, it is a wire segment, so you can kind of pose it in any which way that you want to, which is really cool. I wouldn't recommend posing it too much though. Just find a place and leave it, because I've had poor experiences with wire tails, and I've heard about poor experiences with wire tails wearing down easily over time, so just be careful with that. And I didn't really touch on the jaw either, but yeah, the jaw is articulated. This one, unfortunately, I've seen from most of them on the 118 Rex, at least just most of the ones I've experienced personally. The jaw doesn't seal, and there's a little bit of a weird gap in the face there, as you can see, especially from the front. Like, the jaw is kind of offset to the side. Not too distracting, but unfortunately we can't get a completely sealed jaw like on the smaller one, the Walking with Rex I have. Actually, like, that is one of the best articulated jaws on any theropod figure that I've seen. Oh, and I'm running out of footage space, aren't I? Yep, alright, we need to clear stuff out on this camera. Bit more saturated. Alright, we're back. I just had to clear out some space on my SD card because I'm prepared. But yeah, that just about does it for articulation on this guy, so I'm going to set him off to the side quickly. We're going to talk about the base on this one. The base is very lightweight, it's hollow, and I forgot until I got it in person that the split base is actually a thing. So this little like H section piece holds the base together, and then you can split it apart. And honestly, I've experimented a bit with this, but I can't really make the split base work. So I'm not sure why it really exists, because we'll get to that with the articulated legs in just a second. Let me just put these two halves together again. But the base detail is awesome. It looks really, really cool. I love the detail on the rocks and the vegetation going around, and you can see the metal pegs there that hold this dude into place. Yeah, that's just about does it for the base. This is really cool. It's really cool. And then as far as putting this one in the base, you just slot in the peg holes like so. And once you get it worked out, then it just usually slots into place really easily, and there you go. You've got a really awesome looking display piece. Now, with all of my gloating on this one so far and how much I love it, because I genuinely do, it's the best T-Rex figure I've ever had, you're probably expecting me to recommend this one to you. But I'm here to tell you that I don't. And that's where the title of the video comes into play. And it's not because of how expensive it is, but this has to do with the accessories that it comes with. This figure comes with a lot of accessories that feel like they're inherently worthless to me. And I'll get into this right now. I'm using both of the static legs for this one. And there's a little instruction booklet that comes with this figure that has instructions on how to put the tail on and how to display it and everything. And even with the small Rex that I got, the Walking With Rex, and with this big one, obviously, the instruction booklet specifically tells you not to display it with the articulated legs, and the articulated legs do not have peg holes in the feet. That's right, so you cannot display it even with just one of the articulated legs to pose the leg in a certain way. It also comes with 3 other pairs of feet that are specifically made for the articulated legs, so since you can't display it with the articulated legs, it's kind of pointless. And I feel like the split base would come into play as well more often if the articulated legs were useful, but they're not. And I can already tell you, without the peg hole being in one of the articulated legs' feet, there's no way you're going to get this one to balance for an extended period of time at all on your shelf, so I understand that, but I feel like the peg hole not being included just removes a lot of versatility from being able to play with this thing. But also, the biggest thing for me, which still baffles me to this day personally, is I don't understand why there wasn't an optional display rod designed for this figure and included with it. I would be willing to pay more money for this figure, as expensive as it is, an extra $10, $15, even $20 for a custom display rod to nestle under this thing to make use of the accessories on display. Because literally the instruction booklet tells you, do not display this thing long term with its accessories. You have to use the solid legs. And I am impressed, after being worried about the stability of these things for so long with dealing with the Raptors, I'm very much impressed with this thing's stability with the solid legs. I'm not worried about this thing at all. I mean, you see me rocking it around everywhere. The joints are solid. All of the design choices for making this thing work in its solid leg display state, it was done exceptionally in my opinion. But BOTM is all about articulation and displaying your figures how you want them and getting cool poses out of them and stuff. And the ceratopsians is what really set that in stone for me, into why I love this company so much, is highly detailed, highly accurate, highly articulated dinosaur figures that you can get into a variety of different poses. You can do whatever you want with them. They have amazing colors too. It's just a win-win in like every scenario for me. But you look behind me on my shelf and you see all the ceratopsians, just the silhouettes from here, and all of these amazing like dynamic poses and stuff that look so different from each other. Even that top shelf, 5 of those figures share the same exact body, and yet they all look totally different. But I feel like all you can really do with this T-Rex is move the arms. Honestly, the arms have the most amount of versatility articulation-wise in its display state with the solid legs. You can't really do much with the legs at all if you're using both of the pegged legs, which you have to for display. The instructions, like I said, tell you do not display it long term without both of the solid legs. The tail you can move around quite a bit on its own as well, but Unfortunately, it looks a bit awkward unless you line the segments up perfectly, so there's not a lot of versatility you can get out of that. The head, like I said, you can move side to side. It doesn't have a lot of up and down. Oh, and the base just fell off of it there. It doesn't have a lot of up and down to it at all. You can move the jaw. Yeah, but I feel like you could just get so much more mileage out of this figure if the articulated legs actually felt like a usable accessory. I get that they're useful for like photos and stuff, but even me being a photographer, when I pay for something that's this expensive, I want every single aspect of it to feel useful for me as a photographer and as someone who just displays my models and has them look really cool up on my shelf and everything. And I feel like I'm just completely pigeonholed into leaving it like this. Which is fine, it looks really cool, but it feels weird just having an extra set of legs, 3 extra sets of feet and everything, and a splittable base on this figure, which added a lot to the cost of this one, for sure, when I can't display it with any of them. And that's why I can't recommend it. This thing is almost double the price of one of the big ceratopsians, the Torosaurus and the Triceratops, which I have to review at some point. I know I haven't gotten around to it. And yet I feel like I get way more customization out of those two figures than I do out of this one, even with all of its accessories. This figure was an incredible feat to tackle from David Silva, and in my opinion, he knocked it out of the park still. It looks incredible. But I also feel like it's a huge stepping stone and a learning point in some areas as well. And for me personally, I feel like a custom display rod, like a little harness, even if it was built into the base somehow and could be attached and reattached like the Raptors, I feel like that should just be a given with something like this. I'm gonna have to see how the joints hold up over time. I feel like they're gonna be perfectly solid, honestly. At least so far, it feels really good. But it is a concern of me, and honestly, without that display rod as part of the kit, it just doesn't feel like the entire package is worth it, in my opinion. And once again, I am so happy that I purchased this thing. It looks incredible on my shelf. It's exactly what I wanted for the direction my collection is moving. Hey, that rhymed. But I feel like to everyone who's asking me on Instagram when I posted teaser images or on my community tab whether I recommend this one or not, I genuinely just can't. If that's what you want out of it. If you've got the money and you want a sort of glorified statue that can be kind of articulated, then go for it if that's what you're looking for. But compared to other BOTM products for how expensive it is, I really think this one just could have been so much better if it had that custom display rod. But David Silva, if you're watching, you've knocked this one out of the park. It looks amazing. And I know you've got the Acrocanthosaurus coming out, and I know this T-Rex is probably a huge learning curve for the future of large theropods in the BOTM line. I'm looking forward to seeing what you do with that Acrocanthosaurus. A display rod would be really cool, please. But yeah, oh, I almost forgot. This is such a different format for me. I need to do like a measurement of this thing and everything for you guys. So in general, I'm doing it off screen here because it's just too big to fit on screen. This thing is about 28 inches long, even with its head and tail tilted slightly to the side. So it's well over 2 feet long, which is insane. And at its average height here in its pretty standard pose, we're looking at just under a foot tall, which is nuts. And for a quick comparison, because it's kind of awkward here, here is Jeff. No! Oh, and I almost forgot to mention, and I'll get footage of it, but this thing can actually stand without the base on its solid legs. I wouldn't recommend doing it for too long, but honestly pretty impressive, I will say. But anyway, guys, that's going to do it for this review. I hope this one isn't too long. I've been sitting here recording for 30 minutes now, which is insane. But I'm gonna have to really edit this one down. But thank you so much for tuning in, and I hope you enjoyed this little format change because this guy just literally doesn't fit in my normal review setup. And let me know your thoughts on this T-Rex down below. I'm curious what your thoughts are. Maybe if you own it, let me know your honest thoughts in comparison to mine. And yeah, I'll catch you all in my next review, so take care, and bye-bye.